For the first time in history, Asheville, North Carolina had a curfew because left-wing anarchists tried to destroy our beautiful city. These anarchists spray-painted buildings, busted out windows, defaced public property, threw water bottles and rocks and fireworks at our police officers. They have tried to intimidate anybody who dared speak out against them. Who was complicit in their crimes? Asheville City Council and Mayor Esther Manheimer. They have allowed these anarchists to block off a city street without a permit and paint "defund the police," costing the taxpayers over $6,000 to clean up and more. So who is this Asheville Torch Antifa? How do they get their money? How do they intimidate people? And how can the public stop them?
The memory of George Floyd is being dishonored by rioters, looters, and anarchists. The violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups.
The Weather Underground was a radical left militant organization active in the 1960s and 70s. It was organized by Students for a Democratic Society. Its goal was to create a revolutionary party of communist socialists and overthrow what they called American imperialism. Allies of the Weather Underground was the Black Liberation Army and the Black Panther Party. The FBI classified the Weather Underground as a domestic terrorist group after inciting riots, destroying public property, and bombing government buildings. Who was the leader of the Weather Underground? His name was Bill Ayers. Ayers and his wife Bernadine Dorn became fugitives of the FBI after bombing several government installations. U.S. attorneys dismissed charges against Ayers after it was found that the FBI illegally wiretapped him. Ayers went on to become a professor and teaches seminars on the tactics of protesting. What cities does he go to? Seattle, Portland, New York, Atlanta, and Asheville, North Carolina.
Mr. Ayers, you were charged for blowing up the Pentagon, or at least sending bombs that way, and you were.
I wasn't charged, but go forward.
Well, and you were also charged with sending bombs toward the New York Police Department out there. Do you think that bombing and hurting people is what these people should do?
I missed that because I'm a little hard of hearing.
But my biggest question is you're telling these people that violence is the wrong thing to do.
I didn't say that.
You did not say that, okay.
After this first meeting with Bill Ayers, anarchists showed up at the Trump rally at the Asheville Civic Center. The protesters picked up the barricades and placed them 2 feet from the exit doors, causing an extreme fire hazard. This was the first form of intimidation tactics by Asheville anarchists. This was the beginning of Asheville's Torch Antifa. Antifa members will tell you that there is no Antifa, that it's just a movement, but that's simply not true. There are several chapters of Antifa throughout the United States, and where's the one run for North Carolina? It's right here in Asheville. An intelligence report with the Department of Homeland Security says that Antifa is being investigated as terrorists with ties to Syria. Former Asheville anarchist Nicole Sweeney tells Skyline, that members of Antifa are trained how to use guns and make bombs in Syria and then come back to the United States to show the Torch Antifa network how to do the same. Sweeney says that members of Asheville Anti-Racism, which is part of the Antifa Torch network, train in Sandy Mush and Black Mountain here in Buncombe County. They even have a Facebook page called the Black Mountain John Brown Gun Club. Nicole Sweeney says that most of the inciting to riot in downtown Asheville comes from the FIRESTORM bookstore located on Haywood Road in West Asheville. It is owned by Liberty Valance, but his real name is Evan Scott. In a July 30th post, Evan Scott, aka Liberty, admits to being part of Antifa, and his co-op could be considered part of a terrorist organization. According to the IRS 990 Public Information Form, Evan Scott, aka Liberty, has a nonprofit called Center for Participatory Change. The address is the same as FIRESTORM bookstore. The form says that Scott's nonprofit received over $293,000 in grant money. And according to mappingtheleft.com, that money came from the Reynolds Family Foundation and the George Soros Foundation. America is in a fight for the very soul of which it was founded, and that soul is called freedom. There is an evil driving this communist anarchist movement unlike anything America has seen since World War II, and this evil has come for our children. In part 2 of Asheville's Torch Antifa Exposed, how the local Antifa has moved into the classrooms and into jail facilities. How Antifa uses lawyers in their protests. So tell us what a legal observer is. What local politicians have ties with Antifa and why are they involved in it? Skyline speaks with people the local Antifa has tried to intimidate. How many warrants have been issued and how many arrests have been made for their criminal actions? And Antifa trespasses on my property.
But what I'm telling you is right now, don't ever have contact with me or anybody in my family, and don't ever come on, look at me, don't ever come to any of my properties.